Everyone. My name is Brian Rouse, and I am the motion graphics art director here at Mass Effects in Denver, Colorado. And wanted to take this time to talk to you about a project that we're working on internally to kind of investigate the possibilities of AI and what we can kind of do with it with our studio. You know, you kind of have to be living under a rock to not understand how AI is kind of taking things over in certain aspects of our industry. So when the owners, Matt and Shauna, came to me a few weeks ago with a project, an internal project that they wanted to do with a tour of the studio, they mentioned that they would love to include a bunch of cats kind of running through the office, as you know, much of what we do is really herding cats as far as getting all of our ducks in a row for all the various aspects of production. So once we kind of started digging into it and realizing that it was quite a lift of what we were trying to accomplish in a short amount of time, I thought that it might be a good opportunity for us to investigate, AI solutions and how we could really kind of implement them into our workflow as a professional production studio. That's kind of where we ended up. And so I took some time and did a bunch of research over, the span of a week and kind of presented them with some options of how we can kind of implement. So this is just kind of a book report, so to speak, on kind of my learnings of what I found and how we're going to kind of try to proceed with this project. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I probably had as much experience as many people out there, in our industry, whereas not too much. I had used it in the past to kind of generate style frames for certain projects, knowing full well that, whatever I generated is not actually going to be the final look of whatever asset I was trying to convey to the client. What I decided to start with is just, let's just start with some prompts. So knowing that this was going to be showcasing our building and specifically an asset in that building is our theater. We wanted to, fill this theater with cats in one of the shots. So I just wrote out a prompt and I wanted to kind of test it across various platforms to see what it did. So the prompt says, fill this theater with a multitude of cats in varying art styles. Some should be photorealistic, some could be hand drawn, some should be painted, some should be 3D cartoon characters. And what I wanted to see here is all the various ways that these different platforms would kind of generate this. And as you can see here, with that exact same prompt, you get a lot of varying results that aren't quite hitting what we needed to hit at all. So essentially, I fed each one of these this exact same backplate, which is the ChatGPT and Deep AI backplate, which is just kind of that three-quarter view of our theater. Put it into Runway first. Runway just decided that it wanted kind of a squared away front-on shot of our theater, so it made that adjustment for me, which I didn't ask for. And it did add a lot of the cats, but the cats seemed to be very large, and it also didn't fill any of the back seats with them. So then decided to go through Chat GPT. That's getting a little bit closer, but as we talk about AI, we're very cognizant of some of the copyright infringement problems that we could have with it, and so Garfield's just kind of front and center sitting there. So again, it's getting closer, but it's nowhere near what we need. Third one was ran it through Firefly. That just kind of created its own theater. I do like some of the cats that are in here, but again, it's not representative of our theater, which is kind of what we wanted to showcase with this. So Deep AI, these cats are terrifying to me, especially some of the dead kind of stuffed eyes. I don't really think that that's going to sell a lot of clients on, some of our animation techniques or modeling techniques that we could get into. So yeah, that was kind of where we started. The second thing I did is I wanted to see what kind of animation we could get from just a simple text prompt using an AI generated image. Just kind of thinking that possibly we could use our team here to generate a bunch of different cats themselves, because we have a lot of great traditional artists here, and possibly we could just throw those in the scene and then have AI animate it for us. Then we kind of own the assets and all that stuff. So this is just taking that Chat GPT image that it generated and throwing it into Runway to see what kind of results we got. So obviously, you have terrifying Garfield nose mouth. Getting embarrassed that he has a nose mouth and then giggling, and all the other cats are looking at him. So again, this is just not usable from a production standpoint. For this experiment, what I wanted to do is see if I could get better results and try to get some iterations. If I started with with a single prompt and then try to evolve that prompt, and wanted to keep it kind of contained within the same platform to see what those what those results came back with, if it kind of learned from what I wanted it to do from the previous prompt. So I started with the one on the left. It was just fill a theater with a multitude of cats, varying art styles. Some should be photorealistic, hand drawn, kind of the same thing that we had started with before. So as you can see, not once did I type the text, let's have them all pop out like it's a big puppet show in a theater. You do have a multitude of cats. I didn't really specify what kind of a theater the cats should be in. So try to evolve that prompt in the next test that we did, which is the middle one. And that one's feeling a little bit better. We have a little bit of a camera push. There is a little bit more varying of styles of the cats. There are some weird poses. Right here, you see a little guy pop up and just start showing his paws off for some reason. But it is feeling a little better. So that made me feel better that okay, maybe this actually could work in just evolving the prompt. But then we get to the third one and things just kind of go off the rails. Cats are just popping in from nowhere, coming through the floor. We're pushing through a seat for some reason. They're still rising out of the seat cushions. This one is just way too giant. So the kind of big takeaway from all these tests was we're going to need to find something that's not just these simple prompt based, platforms where you just kind of enter in a prompt and kind of hope for the best. So we wanted something that we could actually kind of control a little bit more. So after all these experiments, with the simple text tools, we kind of started looking at what we could possibly implement, with the tools that were available now, and what things we would be able to actually grab as a studio and try to create some usable assets on a regular basis. So with all these simple text tools, yeah, they're much more accessible, but you have much less control. We also quickly found out that there are very very specific engines or platforms to do very specific things. For instance, if you wanted to grab some text and turn your images into a 3D mesh, that would be a Meshy AI versus Runway, which is just we're making videos or we're entering in prompts to do that, but then we can also do some motion tracking and green screen removal. Gemini VEO is text to video, and it's just trying to get realistic motion and a little bit more consistency there. The bottom line is there's a specific tool for a specific job, but you really don't have a lot of control over what it spits out, even if you are dialing in the prompts, entering in very similar prompts. There's a lot more unknown with a lot of the simple text stuff. So started looking at other ways that we could kind of implement something, and was speaking with our senior designer who had worked a bit with ComyUI. He kind of explained to me that that's a node-based system, which actually does do dialable parameters where we can, if you can turn off some of these parameters, or you can edit those to your liking. So the bottom line is it would be non-destructive, which is exactly what we would be looking for. So there's a lot of benefits to using that. Obviously it's a node-based workflow, so you get control over every stage. And you can be iterative with it, which is not something you can do with some of the simple text generators. There's also some, reproducibility stuff. So if I, kind of have this node tree and keep things going, and only change a few specific things within the node tree, you should theoretically be able to get similar results. Another big thing is it's offline. So if you're dealing with a lot of these simple text generators, and you're generating imagery or videos with that, that actually goes back into their system, and they use that for new users coming with new prompts, and you don't really have ownership of things. All the ownership stuff is still very ambiguous, but the fact that we create stuff, it goes back out, and another user could grab it. We could have very similar things out there, and that's just not good for business. So the fact that this would be offline and local deployment, so we would have full control over the data, the rendering speeds, and then all of our usage caps as well. So we kind of decided to go with this one based off a couple other things. There's a better community ecosystem. It's a little bit more stable, but again, the learning curve for this was much steeper because there's not a lot of great documentation out there. It's just kind of, let's grab it and start playing with it and see what we kind of figure out. So that's what we are doing. We will see how that goes. We're going to be leaning heavily on our senior designer because he's the one who's really worked with this in the past. We're kind of crossing our fingers, and hopefully we'll be able to get some decent results, but kind of TBD on that.